episode of the Evan and Aaron Show presents the Red and the Blue Soccer Chat. Ladies and gentlemen, we're coming live from Indianapolis, Indiana. We are just so excited about this. Of course, you got to throw in, a little bit of Man U and Chelsea. Yep, there you go. To those of you who are tuning in live on Facebook, please make sure to tell your friends that, we are here and we're ready to roll tonight, man. We've got lots to talk about. And to my right, your left, is my dear friend, dear friend, Aaron Gordon. Aaron, what do you got to say for tonight, brother? How you doing? Did you have a good day?
Had a good day. Really excited to be kicking this off tonight. Going in the red and blue direction here for us, and for some good reasons and some bad reasons.
I see a lot more red, though. I mean, it is your basement. I mean,
I was gonna say when we're in your sound closet.
There you go. Yeah,
there will be some blue and some brown. I'm sure of it. Good day. Really excited to kick things off here, and for a variety of reasons, we've got plenty to talk about when it comes to Manchester United and Chelsea right now. So I think first thing first, Chelsea played a game today. Played against Spurs. First leg of the Carabao Cup EFL Trophy semifinal. Played at Chelsea.
I'm impressed you said it right.
Carabao.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a delicious drink. No sponsorship.
I'm from southeastern Ohio. I'd say caribou. That's hey, how's that caribou cup? Anyway.
Well, yeah. I mean, if in Ohio it would have been a caribou. Oh, there's a puppy in the background, everybody.
Wow, well, there you go.
So the match today, I thought, first off, we'll get in depth on the whole Lukaku situation a little bit later. But he was in the starting lineup. 6 changes for Chelsea from their match the other day against Liverpool, which we'll also get to.
Yeah.
Not quite as many changes for Spurs, so you can see who showed up with a little bit more intent. That said, their intent. And I thought Spurs really, really looked disjointed for a good portion of the day.
Yeah.
What were your big takeaways from the match? And do you think that's a legit crit?
No, I think you're onto something. I think the fact that Spurs. I mean, yes, every club right now is somewhat short-staffed. Okay, we're missing obviously, Mendy. He was out because of the African Cup
of Nations.
Cup played. Kepa looked really good. He didn't get challenged a whole lot, but boy, second half he did. But I think it was a combination. I think it was a combination of Chelsea playing really well. N'Golo Kante had an incredible delivery. Oh, that's Liverpool. That's Liverpool. My fault.
We'll get to that.
I'm jumping ahead. No, it was Marcus Alonso had an incredible delivery today to Kai Havertz, and just what an incredible delivery, what an incredible strike from Havertz. And I think he got hurt a little bit on that play.
Yeah, it looked like when he kind of went in the defender behind him, his momentum sort of carried him in over the top of the goalkeeper and I think the other recovering defender. And he came up holding his hand. They were speculating that he'd broken his pinky. They'd taped it to his other finger, and then obviously he went out with a little bit of a head injury later in the game. But I thought Havertz played pretty well. I thought most of the players acquitted themselves. I thought Hakim Ziyech is a really interesting question mark right now because there's been a lot of talk about him not getting all that much time, the opportunities, and obviously, we know he's got talent. We've seen him play. Do you think that there's not a place for him in Tuchel's type of system because of the player he is? I mean, he was being asked to sort of be a covering wingback at times today,
right?
Which isn't exactly, I think, what he wants to be doing.
Right.
Not my club. So.
Well, I think Havertz brings a lot to the table. Obviously, I think Havertz. He's one of those players that quote unquote has an engine that just doesn't stop. Like he's Ziyech, him, Havertz, whether you like him or not, Timo Werner. These are the type of guys who worked and worked and worked today. Even even when you looked at Werner, I was very happy to see him doing his thing. I mean, he was in there, he was mixing it up, he was trying to make plays, and yes, I know, I'm trying to make a good point.
It's like every Zoom call all of us have been on for the last year. Sorry, that's my dog in the background, but
no worries.
We still don't have an intern, so if you want to be an intern and play with a puppy and help us do video editing, that'd be fantastic.
We will pay you with beer, and I'm covering up what beer we have, but we will pay you with beer.
There's plenty of it.
There you go. But no. I think Chelsea has found their rhythm. They found their rhythm again. I was worried about it. Obviously, with the Brighton game, Brighton match. Boy, they just. I mean, to barely be able to get away with a draw with Brighton. I mean, I'm not saying Brighton's bad. I'm not saying they're terrible, but when you're at the Bridge, it's like you should. Those are the games where you should pick up 3 points. I started to get a little nervous there, but then I think that this match today showed that I think they're coming back into form. I think they're finding themselves, and I think the guys are wanting to play. You saw that in Lukaku, and I know we're going to go there soon, but you saw it in Lukaku, you saw that in Pulisic, you saw it in a lot of guys, Marcos Alonso, which we were talking about before. These guys are playing. Even Dave, they seem like they're coming together.
Yeah. Well, here are my notes from today's game. First goal, sloppy pass but strong tackle.
Yes.
So on the one hand, Spurs and all this talk about Conte, and it's all about shape and discipline and all this stuff. That is not what we saw out of Spurs today. They really, really got dragged all over the place, which part of that could just be Chelsea. Could be Chelsea having a good game. Part of that could be Tottenham really not being fully certain of what's being asked of them.
I think it's a combo. I think you're right.
But again, if Marcos Alonso doesn't jump that route, see that it's a bad pass getting played, also makes a good tackle. I think it's Emerson Royale is trying to sort of do the long shield. He sees a tackle coming. He's trying to do that shield where he kind of steps across a guy and at a minimum maybe gets a foul or can take it wide. So Alonso reads that, but there's still work to be done. And the weight on his pass to Havertz is beautiful because it would have been very easy to play a ball that either rolls too far, and Havertz doesn't really get much of a shooting opportunity, if at all. Maybe I've seen plenty of people roll that ball straight to the end line. It's just too much because your momentum's carrying you. You're excited. You just made this tackle,
right?
But I've also seen guys underhit that ball, not put enough weight on it, and that recovering defender is able to sort of step over, intercept the pass, and now what you gained, you've just lost.
Yeah.
But that was a combination, you see a team making a mistake, you still have to take advantage of that mistake. And then Kai Havertz did a great job holding off the last defender, slots at home. I think it was given to him. It should not be an own goal because it was on target as far as I'm concerned. If that guy doesn't slide in, the ball ends up in the back of the net, and that's how I've always viewed the rule.
Yep, I agree. I totally agree. I think that, Are you going to let the puppy out of puppy
I
prison?
I will. There'll be a long song transition that allows me to do that.
Okay, good. All right. No. I really think that first goal, yes, I think it's in no matter what happens. I think it's in no matter what happens. But I also think that there are so many good signs. And once again, I'm going to reference the fact that we talked about this before and you brought it up. Marcos Alonso is playing some quality football right now.
Yeah, he's had a resurgence under and ultimately I think he's benefiting by Ben Chilwell being injured because
I agree.
Chilwell is the all-rounder.
Yeah.
I don't think he's anything special either direction, but he's just solid going both ways there. He's good going forward, he's good in defense. Marcos Alonso's not really somebody you want to see getting squared up by if Marcos Alonso would have found himself much deeper, you would have fancied Son taking him on, causing some problems. But that's not how they play. And the way they play, I've had my criticisms of Rudiger, But what he does well, he does very well,
Mm-hmm.
and he recognizes those. The Chelsea back line that we saw against Liverpool the other day, that might be the opponent. Again, my second note is second goal, silly foul, bad clearance. So
yes,
you fouled Romelu Lukaku outside the 18, away from goal after already taking a bad touch. You bailed him out.
Yep.
Then you have an opportunity for a simple clearance and get it wrong. So again, these things that Conte are supposed to be really, really terrific about are the exact mistakes Spurs made today.
Yeah.
And Chelsea, to their credit, took advantage of it. I didn't really feel like Spurs, even when they were beginning to get a foothold in the second half, I never thought you need to worry about this.
Right.
Especially from the standpoint of, there's no away goals rule.
Yeah, no, I honestly, I never felt like Chelsea was out of control today. The second half, Spurs, you know what, they came out, and you got to think Conte had said something to him in the locker room. Much of a challenge for Chelsea. I mean,
No.
Chelsea.
No.
This is what I love about this team: the way they're playing, way they played the past two matches, with the exception of the first 20 minutes of the Liverpool, which we'll get to. They're playing like a championship team. They're doing the things that championship teams need to do. When you make mistakes against championship teams, I mean, and once again, let's go across the pond.
You don't mean the second tier of English soccer, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
They should be kicking the shit
Right.
out of Birmingham City.
Right,
No,
exactly. They're doing the things that great teams do. They capitalize on mistakes, and it's one of those things where you can look at and you can say, you know what, don't you dare give the ball up to Mo Salah anywhere close to the box.
Right.
Don't make a mistake with Kevin De Bruyne at the top. Now I think legitimately, Chelsea can say as a team, dude, don't give us a second, third chance.
Well,
we're going to score.
I think up until that Liverpool match, there was.
Should we just go ahead and just transition to the Liverpool?
Oh yeah, that was going to happen. It was going to happen anyway.
But
I think up until that match, for a variety of reasons, COVID, injuries, the midseason malaise that hits everybody because of how many games all these teams have been playing. What I seem to notice was that it's like Chelsea forgot they're the champions of Europe.
Yeah, they were.
You are literally one of the best teams on the planet, and arguably stronger now for having brought in Romelu Lukaku.
True.
Not really lost any integral players from last season.
No.
The guys that you relied on last season playing pretty well. Obviously, N'Golo Kante just tested positive for COVID, so that's going to be a bit of a blow, especially over what's coming in the next couple of weeks for you guys.
Yeah.
But in general, it just sort of seemed like Chelsea forgot their swagger for a minute. You hit it on the head. Brighton and Hove in a couple of those games where you're like, the performance is just. So
yes.
First off, neutral perspective.
Yeah.
The first 45 minutes of the Chelsea-Liverpool match is some of the most enjoyable soccer I've seen in quite some time.
Yep.
And it's great as a neutral, too, when you see two teams that just come out. All too often, there's this sort of cagey, how's everybody going to behave? This totally reminded me of a good late 90s, early 2000s United, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool match, the classic Big Four of two teams just going, fuck it. Absolutely fuck it. There is no, the game plan is to beat your ass. We are going to kick you every time we get a chance. The pace was absurd.
It was.
The pace of that match was absolutely absurd.
Fat Frank coming down the middle, just
No, well, but the way guys wrote up a whole game plan, and
Yeah.
we did not follow it.
Yeah.
But what was crazy was if somebody showed you 5 minutes from that first half but didn't show you the goals, you'd have thought Chelsea played.
Man,
I really, really thought Chelsea had more control of the game, better intent. But damn, what happens when the ball gets turned over to a world-class player?
Right. That match, moving on to that match, I am very much, for those of you who are watching us and those of you who are listening to us, I'm very much a novice when it comes to soccer. And yes, I'm one of those Americans that have actually coached a soccer team, which is why we didn't win. But anyway, it was 45 minutes, 45 plus minutes of some of the best football I've seen.
Yes, energetically, yes.
I mean, just it was so much fun, and I think that just from a purely get this, I'm going back to our show. Just from a purely Midwestern American point of view, I think it's that type of soccer that can lure you in and bring you in, and then you start to appreciate the 0-0, the 1-0, defensive. Really, you can start to appreciate that. This is one of those matches that is like the track meet type marathon type deals in American football, but it's played in the beautiful sport, and that's what was so awesome about it. When there was a point when Salah hit that second goal, which
the man is the form player in the world right now, and the fact that he's a goal scorer is just makes it so much more exciting, because every time he touches the ball, you're like, oh, what's going to happen next? You're on the edge of your seat. And as a defender, you've absolutely got to have your depends on tight. Yeah. Because you are shitting yourself.
Absolutely. When he hit that second goal, I wanted to feel like, shit, this is just not our day. I even sent a text. I sent a text to you, and I was like, well, it just doesn't look like it's our day. But when I hit send, I literally, something in the back of my head said, no, wait a minute. No. Just wait a minute. This is a long, this is a long match. Yeah. And immediately Chelsea answered the bell.
Well, I think answered it because on the balance of play, Chelsea were getting the better of it. Chelsea were getting good opportunities. Two things that need to be said. Kelleher filling in goal for Liverpool.
Oh my God.
And Mendy both played out of their minds. Each of them had a couple of saves that were
stupid saves.
On par with some of the goals that got scored. The Mendy save in the second half from Salah trying to chip him, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Oh. So game could have had a lot more goals. I mean, this game could have been crazy, and it could have been 4-0 Liverpool at halftime, but it could have been 3-2 Chelsea at halftime.
Absolutely.
Not only did they score those 2 goals,
Pulisic had another shot. Or Mount had
another shot. That, I mean, in the first half of this game, you had 4 goals, 3 of which, in my opinion, were absolutely world class in so many aspects. The pass was it? I think it's a James Milner pass. Somebody may be able to correct me, but the pass that gets made to split Chelsea's defense.
Oh, okay, that one. Oh,
Salah's,
it's just gorgeous.
Salah's reception of the ball absolutely freezing Rudiger. Then, I mean, that it just takes a split second, and now he's bearing down on the goalie. And Mendy's like, I've cut everything off. I'm gigantic. There's nowhere for you to go. And Mo Salah says, yeah, but there's this skosh little bit next to the post that you have forgot about. And I had to watch the replay 2 or 3 times to go, he put that near post.
Yeah, how in the world did he do that?
Mendy's not a small dude.
No.
And near posts it.
And I would put Mendy, like it is, and I'm not just saying this because you're sitting here. De Gea, Mendy. I really believe that's the way.
From pure shot stopping, it's hard to argue otherwise.
If that man can't stop it, De Gea may. But that shot right there, I'm convinced it was probably unstoppable.
I don't know anybody else who figures it out, because I mean it's Salah. He froze him and then has the ability to finish it. But
then my man N'Golo Kante,
well,
with the nice little chip.
Well, you had Kovacic's goal.
Well,
next.
Kovacic, yeah. No, and once again,
which
was it Alonso?
No, it's
that fed him.
No. It's I believe
no, it was a deflection.
Yeah,
off
I believe
he
gets a clearance.
Yes,
and just
it was gorgeous.
So impressive about it is he's actually backpedaling. He's actually stepping back in order to make sure his body shape is appropriate, and he gets everything right. It's textbook. Yep. He'll probably never hit a goal like that again in his life, but he did hit it when it mattered.
Hey, NFL, can you stat that?
Right? Yeah. But to what is probably most important to a lot of Chelsea fans and to a lot of American fans, with, again, brilliant. Just like Marcos Alonso we were discussing earlier, just deft touch, but there's still a lot to do. I mean, it would not have been crazy to see that ball bounce and come off Puli's thigh and run away from him. The way he gets his chest over it so it stays in front of him. But again, still so much work to be done. How many times have you seen a guy smash that ball right into the goalie or kick it into Rosie?
Yeah.
And instead, he just the finish is almost like he told it to go there, but he whipped that fucker in too.
Dude, Aaron, this is the one thing that I'm noticing about really watching football, really watching soccer, is that when somebody is going to score, they are going to score. Like, it's almost like you can feel it. Yeah. When you saw what was getting ready to happen. Oh, see, that's one of the most sexy sounds.
This is also an ASMR soccer chat.
When he got over that ball and when he brought it down, it was in such like rhythm. It's almost like, like I said, it's like watching just it's like watching Serena. It's like whenever she can
expert
just
to know when you're seeing something truly wonderful. You walk through the Musée d'Orsay. I can't tell you one impressionist from another, but when you walk up and see beauty, there it is. When you see Michael Jordan do what Michael Jordan does, and again, let's not get too crazy.
No,
it's Christian Pulisic, but what he did in this particular moment was absolutely world class, and he needed it. He needed a goal. He needed to get back on form. And honestly, here's Chelsea's upcoming fixtures.
Okay, here we go.
They play Chesterfield in the FA Cup.
Okay,
I have a strong feeling we're going to see an awful lot. At home to Spurs.
Yeah.
Our 3 of the next 4 games are really, really absurd. And here's my concern. I almost to voice it out loud.
Go ahead.
But these are big games. The big game players have to show up.
Yep.
And at this point in time, and the run he's been having in the team, Puli is a big game player for Chelsea.
Oh, man.
4 days after the Spurs match, the United States plays El Salvador and Columbus.
Oh,
we may not need him for that, but we're probably going to need him 4 days later.
Yeah.
So is Captain America, does he have the durability to get through these matches? Because they need him. They need that level of play. They need somebody who brings that.
They do. Here's what I would do. First of all, let me just say this. My prediction for those 3 matches, well, past Chesterfield, those 3 matches, next one's in the league. I hope that we get 5 points from them. I think we can get 5. I think if we play
City and Spurs.
Yeah, City. If we go to City, and it's a draw, and we draw one of those with the Spurs, and we win one with the Spurs,
Okay, well, this is where I've got to be the.
I know. Be the
voice.
womp.
No.
Womp. Wait,
No.
wait. Do the which one? Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Okay.
Wait, we're not talking about Manchester United yet. FA Cup is win or go home.
Yes,
You don't get points for that.
I know.
Spurs, that one is not win or go home. You've got a 2-0 lead right now, so basically you can't lose 3-0.
Right.
Next 2 games are the league.
Right.
So 4 points would be good. A draw and a win.
Okay, 4 points would be good.
Because if you go to City and get a draw, that's fine. You'd love to beat them. But let's face it, you're going away to City.
You're going away to
this
City,
time of year, and they're riding a wave.
They are. And here's the thing: wouldn't it be great if Chelsea was the team to start them on their kind of skid?
Right.
They might have like 3-4 game skid. That could happen. But like I said, I really do see. I see Spurs playing tough at home. Like I said, I think we draw with them in the cup. I think that
which puts you through.
Which puts us through, which is fine.
Having never left London.
I know. I would like to think that we can draw with City, because here's the deal: if we do that, that opens the door for so many other teams as well. Because City. We've got to catch them. We've got to be able to catch them. So Liverpool, you guys, it draws them in a little bit closer.
Well, unless people start causing them problems, the league's over.
Oh yeah. It's
no winner in the Chelsea Liverpool match really puts things in a spot where you're like, ooh, can anybody really do this now? Yeah, games in hand and all that stuff. But
sure. But it's going to take a victory from the. Well, do they play Arsenal again this
they
season?
Just played.
I know
Arsenal,
they just
so
played them.
I'm not sure. I would imagine so, but I would have to take a look.
It would take the the big four, like Man U, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal. We're going to have to take 3 points from them at some point to even think about. But you're right. I'm not sure that we can do that. So I am. It's 7:30. I want to make that transition.
You just want shots.
No, my friend. I'm going to do this. Because this is the guy I wanted to focus on a little bit. For the game, the match that we just saw, Man U and Wolves. In my opinion, the one player other than De Gea that did, and I'm going to say Luke Shaw, other than those two that did everything they could, I think it was Bruno Fernandes. I think he was very, very solid in the middle, but you can't do it yourself. You can't do it all alone. You can't, man. But we'll dive into that because I have some questions for you. Halftime shots, ladies and gentlemen. This is the first halftime shots for the red and the blue.
Right.
So
at the half we go in Chelsea 2-0 up.
There you go.
So
man,
Slancha.
Slinky. Okay. Now we get to the fun. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's Man U right there. No, don't do that to yourself, dude. No.
Well,
come on.
This is a club in a bit of a skid right now, a little bit of a crisis. There's no other way to say it. If you watch the match, United got outplayed at home by Wolves. In almost every area of the pitch, in almost every stat that you want to look at.
Yeah.
It was not good enough. The United players look confused. I don't want to say disinterested, but I'll say that it does seem as if there are players who either don't know what they are supposed to do or don't agree with what they are supposed to do.
Okay.
Now, one thing I want to state from the outset here, because in prepping for this, really been watching an awful lot of punditry, all these shows, the Talk Sport and ESPN FC and all this stuff, where you've supposedly got experts, and then you got people calling in. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I've got somebody in the locker room giving me inside stories.
Right.
I'm not at practice and don't see this stuff.
You're not?
But
wait a minute.
What I really, really don't like and don't want to get into is just outright speculation and really getting down on players. I'm not going to pull a Kirk Herbstreit. Let's say that.
Ooh, boy.
Okay?
Boy, he was really tough on the Buckeyes the other day. And that's okay. He should have been. But anyway, no. Go ahead.
Trying to paint with such broad strokes as to what's going on in a massive club, I think is lazy. And I think it is a disservice to what really, really could be happening and what needs to be happening. Manchester United are a massive club.
Yep.
They've been enduring some issues for a few years now, but anybody who's followed soccer for a long time knows that these things happen. I don't care what club you're a fan of, you're going to be able to trace back to a period of time where it just seemed rudderless for things. Now, Ralph Rangnick was brought in to be a big rudder.
True.
And thus far, you'd have to say you don't see an awful lot of difference in performance levels.
Okay.
And you don't really see any difference in patterns of play as far as I'm concerned. They're still sort of muddling through, not really playing anything cohesive, looking like 11 guys doing their own thing. Occasionally there's some nice play.
Mm-hmm.
Occasionally there's some bad play. David De Gea makes a great save, and then maybe Ronaldo gets you a goal somewhere.
Yeah.
It didn't happen the other day against Wolves, and honestly I think they could have played for another 90 minutes, and it wasn't going to happen.
Wow.
I think that's where United are at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But I think people really trying to say, well, the 4-2-2-2 doesn't work, and Rangnick, got this job for a reason, and players don't care and they're prima donnas. I really think that's out of bounds. And, especially for the big name guys on ESPN FC and stuff like that, you've been saying this for a long time now.
Yep.
Have the balls to say somebody's name or quit going with this narrative.
True.
You can't keep saying, well, I think there's some guys who, are undermining, these players quit on Ole, these players quit on Mourinho, these players quit on Van Gaal, they're going to quit on Rangnick. Quit saying these players.
Yeah, right.
You think 25 guys, you think 45 guys are just strolling around Carrington?
No. And you're right. There has to be a point to where you start looking at a bigger picture. Mm-hmm. Like you can't just focus on just one thing. You got to zoom out a little bit. I got some questions for you.
All right.
Question number one. The fallout from that match was huge. And first question is, Luke Shaw, does he just need to shut up, or does he have a point as far as his rant against the management of the club?
Well, first off, I love Luke Shaw. Was excited when he came to the club. He endured a few really tough years and showed incredible mental fortitude, not just to come back from what would be a career-ending injury for some players, and certainly was a career-ending injury probably 20 years ago.
Right.
But not only that, but he had to come back under Jose Mourinho, a guy telling him he's weak, that he's not mentally tough enough, all this stuff. And over the last year or so, it would be hard to argue that there's been a better left back in England.
I'd agree with that. No.
Maybe even outside.
Go with it. Go with it.
What Luke Shaw isn't is media savvy and poetic with his words. So the real question being asked here is, what did Luke Shaw really mean with those comments?
Yeah.
Was he really throwing the system under the bus? Was he really saying some players aren't there? Or was this his way of saying, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
We don't seem on the same page together, and we need to get there. We need to show team intensity. I don't know that he was necessary. And maybe this is a little hypocritical because I'm telling Craig Burley and Stevie Nickel it's time for you to call guys out by name.
Sure.
Luke Shaw's not going to do that.
No.
But is the subtext, hey, Cristiano's not doing what's being asked of him by this manager, and therefore that causes a problem, or Mason doesn't know what he's supposed to be doing in a given moment? Because his comment was, when we had the ball, we didn't seem to have a lot of options. When we didn't have the ball, we lacked intensity. Well, is he truly criticizing the character of his teammates, or is he saying, much like Rangnick is saying, is you don't implement a system like this overnight?
Right.
But at the end of the day, the players still got to play.
Yes.
And the performances and the body language have been poor. Really, really poor.
Do you think, though, and this is just kind of a follow-up to
Io.
that. Yeah, Io's here. Kind of a follow-up. Is this the same situation as Lukaku? I mean, is this one of those deals where, crap, I kind of spoke out and, this was this and blah, blah. I have to believe that Luke Shaw, the caliber player he is, first of all, he won't disparage his mates. He won't do it. He won't do that. I think Luke Shaw was trying to evoke or invoke some type of response from the club to say, hey, let's get our shit together, guys. Let's go. Do you think this is the same? Is this apples and oranges, or is it apples and apples?
I think it's the same in as much as a player made some comments that now become the story, right? Lukaku gave an interview, and even though it was several weeks ago, it comes out right before the Chelsea-Liverpool match.
Sure.
So instead of, hey, what are the tactics? How are we going to go about this? Is Chelsea prepared? Now you're having to have this discussion of, okay, this guy's a distraction. He's talking about leaving the club. He's talking about wanting to go back to Inter Milan, and they're the best fans in the world, yada, yada, yada. Luke Shaw's given an interview after a match, and he's
frustrated.
He's frustrated, but, I mean, I'm not going to speculate on what Luke Shaw's career would have been had it not been soccer, but it certainly doesn't seem like English professor. and that's and I think he would admit that. Like he's out there kind of fumbling over his words. He's repeating himself a lot. He's not is the guy that they stick in front of the cameras. And I think I don't know what he meant. And maybe you ever been asked a question and you have to answer it, and in retrospect you're like, I don't even know what the fuck I just said.
That was crazy. Yeah.
Well,
I'm just picturing Luke Shaw like in English, it's like, listen and lend me your ear so I can tell you about the midnight ride of Paul Revere.
Yeah. I just there's something there, and I don't know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And again, that lets the media just go speculate
all
over. So now you got people saying, well, Luke Shaw shouldn't be allowed to talk because he's going to get in trouble, blah, blah, blah,
dumb,
blah.
Though. I think it's dumb.
Well, I loved Gary Neville's take on Lukaku. He's like, we complain that these guys don't ever give us anything juicy to talk about. And here's a guy being completely honest.
There you go.
So there are big question marks.
Yeah. So we've got a statement. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I just want to say, Ralph Rangnick has had 1 month fewer with Manchester United than Antonio Conte has had with Tottenham Hotspur.
Yes.
And everybody said, well, United blew it. They should have taken Conte when they had a chance, which I don't think they should have.
No.
I don't think it was a good fit. But this argument that, well, Conte comes in and he's a taskmaster and does all this stuff. Well, Spurs aren't really better off now than they were 2 months ago. United aren't really any better or worse off than they were 2 months ago. The performances still look weak. The results are hit or miss.
Yep.
Look, if that game would have gone on as it went on, and Ronaldo would have scored a 92nd minute equalizer, or say they turn around and score right away and win that game.
Yeah.
The narrative should still be, but the performance was kind of crap.
Yes.
Yeah, they got the result. And that's what had been going on for a while. That's what people were noticing under Ole was, we're kind of papering over the cracks here. Is that Ole? Is that the players? And what we saw against Wolves was that, at a minimum, it is some of the players.
Yeah. And I think that what has happened, what had happened is that I think a lot of the Manchester fans, press, everything, got into that whole, hey, a win is a win is a win.
Mm-hmm.
But in football, you have to analyze that.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to see what's going on because, it's not that simple.
Right.
It's not that simple. You've got to be able to score goals, and you've got to be able to take advantage of certain situations. And it just looked like, it just looked like like you said, that they're just discombobulated at this time. Second question, Rangnick. He's picked up 10 points in the first 4 matches. Not bad, but is that enough to stay off his back for this loss?
Well, yeah. I mean, you didn't hire Ralph Rangnick to come in and immediately this isn't a Big Sam like The Great Escape kind of thing. Okay, you brought Ralph Rangnick in because he's a known entity with he's very organized. He's gonna bring a system to things,
right?
And maybe I'll catch some shit for this. I weigh in.
Oh, here we go.
But if you've got a squad full of full internationals, a squad full of world-class players, at least at a few positions, and Manchester United have that. At some point in time, the system, formation, all that shit doesn't matter. I got better players than you.
Okay.
And what you didn't see, what you're not seeing from United right now is a bunch of guys playing that way. Marcus Rashford looks like he's short of confidence.
Yeah.
Mason Greenwood doesn't look like he knows exactly what his role is out there.
He just looked off.
Sancho still struggling to kind of fit in because what is the makeup of this team? The guys that you can count on, unfortunately, are guys that are reliant on other people. Cavani's going to give it to you.
Sure.
Cavani's just going to work his ass off. I'm really, really impressed with the guy. McTominay's always going to work hard for you. Sure. Matic is going to give you what Matic gives you. But we shouldn't be having a discussion about systems at home against a Wolves team with an interim manager.
No, you're right. You're right. Absolutely right.
We should be talking about what they did to Burnley 3 days before or whatever it was. Like, they just went out and played. United just went out and played, and the team before them wasn't as good, so they beat them.
Yep.
It shouldn't have anything to do with, well, gosh, they flooded the midfield and they're the wide tens and what. No, what you've done is you've taken the football out of the player.
Yep.
And now they're afraid. They don't know what they're supposed to be doing.
Yep.
And I don't think Rangnick is such a taskmaster that guys think they're going to get in trouble. But if you're not confident and you're not sure what you're going to do, that split second you hesitate is problematic.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, this is the part of the show that we are going to take a break because just like, in a pub, we have to take a short little break. So we're going to hit the music, cue the music up. And no, not that. Go ahead, play that.
Oh, wait, that would be the wrong one.
I was like, he's going to hit the crickets.
Learn your board,
Aaron. Crickets. Guys, we'll be back in just a few minutes.
We're not actually going to commercial. I'm just going to stand here and look you all in the face while Evan goes and visits the loo. Loo is a British term. Let's see. Give Rangnick some more time. By now, we'd see something to hold on to. Yeah, well, I think that's the concern, is we're not really seeing anything stick, and is part of that. We didn't see Klopp come in and everything went right away either. It takes a long time to implement a system like this, and if guys aren't convinced, then you don't get quite that 100% effort. And I'm not saying they don't care. I'm not trying to put that forth. I'm saying if you don't quite understand exactly what you're doing, it's difficult to give 100% because it's not just, I'm trying hard. It's not like Fred running around the field. you still got to know exactly where you're supposed to be. You got to know when you're supposed to press, when you're supposed to drop off, when you're supposed to be pushing the alignment in such a direction as to be forcing the other team to give you the opportunities that you want. Now, if you do throw in the fact that maybe some of these guys don't want to be doing it, well, that's Rangnick's job to suss that out and put the guys in the right positions. I'm more upset that we're seeing players with bad body language not looking as if they're up to the task, and other guys aren't getting opportunities. I don't know that Jesse Lingard and Donny Van de Beek and Juan Mata are the answer to the problems, but they're not being used, and that seems to be an issue. I mean, he's not immune to criticism, but that also doesn't mean it's entirely the system. It obviously has its merits, or Klopp and Tuchel and Nagelsmann wouldn't have taken some of this to heart. The bigger question is Ralph Rangnick Marcelo Bielsa, and he doesn't really have a plan B. He did change things around the other day, so I'd say no, but the next few games are going to be very, very important from I think a player standpoint and a team standpoint. Some of these guys have to go out and show that they care. With regard, I'll ask, how many actual world-class players do United have? Ronaldo, De Gea, Shaw, and maybe Cavani. That's it. I wouldn't call Sancho world-class yet. I think Sancho and Greenwood are full internationals with potential. I think Marcus Rashford, up until the last probably 6 to 9 months with the injuries, I believe is the cusp of world-class. Rafael Varane, you'd have to say, is world-class. I mean, he's got a World Cup medal. Then again, so does Kleberson. But there are definitely places where United need to improve.
Right.
But I don't look at that team and have too many comments where I say this guy does not belong at this level. The one person I will say that of is Harry Maguire. And he's obviously good enough in many people's eyes, or he wouldn't be starting and captaining the English national team at times. But his play for United has been incredibly poor. He does not lead the team. I think he needs an extended break. And for what United want to do, he just doesn't really fit the system. I would much, much rather see, honestly, I'd rather see a back three of Lindelof, Bailly, and Varane, and, get Luke Shaw forward without the defensive responsibilities, get Diogo Dalot forward without their defensive responsibilities. But I don't see these guys in practice. I don't know what they're working on. Whatever it is isn't quite working out right now.
But I could see Luke Shaw kind of playing the same type of game Marcus Alonso is playing right now.
Absolutely.
I mean, if they could free him up to do that, he can create. The guy can create.
Well, and that's why I want that back through. I think that would be huge.
Last question, and we'll go to the Hey Aaron segment. Man of the match for you. Was there a man of the match for Man U? I think I know your answer for this because he's pretty much man of the match any match.
I mean, especially if they could have kept a clean sheet, it would have been De Gea.
Yeah.
Because he still came up with some phenomenal saves, and that says everything you need to know about a club of that level. You should not, you want to have a world-class goalie, but Ederson is not getting man of the match for City. Alisson's not getting man of the match for Liverpool.
Right.
Mendy, occasionally. But,
maybe.
But by and large, that's not, I remember several years ago where I was like, oh my God, Tim Howard had 16 saves against Belgium. That's amazing. It is. That's not a good stat, y'all. Yeah. Like, it's amazing he saved him. The problem was there was one he didn't save. In fact, there were two he didn't save. Yeah. So that means he faced at least 18 shots on target.
It's like, come on, defense.
That's bad defense, yo.
Yeah, it is.
So,
yeah. Wow. Okay. So let's move on to the Hey Aaron segment. And, for this question, sticking with our wonderful tenders, our wonderful goalkeepers, Aaron, what as a former coach,
Mm.
as a former manager, what should you look for whenever you are trying to determine who's the best goalkeeper? And
Ooh.
two-part question: who's the best goalkeeper right now, not only EPL, but in every league that you watch?
That first one's real tough because there's an awful lot that goes into it. But much like every position, there are certain intangibles. What I like to see out of a goalkeeper is athleticism, fearlessness, talkative, really, really talkative, demanding of their defense. And, you know, I wouldn't be the first person to say it, just a little bit of crazy, just a little bit of, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
That's where I think one criticism of a guy like De Gea, who I think fundamentally possesses just about every tool you could ask for of a world-class goalkeeper. And people who want to say, well, he doesn't quite have Ederson's feet or Alisson's feet. I'll concede that Ederson can pick a hell of a pass sometimes. You know?
Yeah.
But I think for the things you ask your goalkeeper to do, De Gea is 99s across most areas. His command of the box, his command of the area, and his, even when he yells at his defense and he's super pissed off, you didn't want Schmeichel yelling at you. You didn't want Oliver Kahn yelling at you. I don't think anybody's too worried about David yelling at him, and that just might be his slight build or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think when you look at the top goalies, they're all incredibly athletic. The feet, the footwork has become a much more important aspect of the game now. You can't just be I'm the worst field player, so I get to be goalie now, kind of thing.
Yeah, no, you can't do that.
I mean, I tell you,
Mendy proved that. I mean,
I would absolutely be looking at guys that were like undersized tight ends in football, that kind of thing. Be like, hey, you got good hands, good hand-eye coordination, good feet. You got good size. You're not going to get shoved around.
Yeah.
You like hitting people. That kind of stuff.
So are you saying Gronk would be world-class?
Gronk's oversized. Gronk's a little too big.
Okay.
He's a bit of an oversized tight end. I think a guy who's about 6'4", 225.
Dude, you just described Aaron Hernandez.
Well, and that's definitely the crazy part.
Is it too soon? I'm sorry, it's too soon.
Never too soon on a Patriots.
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna go. I'd say right now in England, the on-form goalkeeper is Aaron Ramsdale from Arsenal. I think the way he has played over the first half of this season, especially, I mean, coming in, not really expected to be starting.
Yeah.
Kind of catching some stick over the last couple of years as to whether or not he should have been in the England conversation, that sort of thing. The way he's played for Arsenal is a huge reason why they're hunting around the top four right now, because when their back line has gone missing, he's come up big. He's made some hellacious saves. He's a good personality. I don't know if you saw.
Sheets.
There was a match a few weeks back, and I can't remember who they were playing against, but they have kind of an elaborate, all the fans kind of do the ooh ah, or, kind of that sort of thing, and mock the goalie and that sort of stuff. Well, it involves his name and something else, and the best part was like he runs up and kicked the ball. And then there's like an afterward part, and he joined in with him and was like, "Yeah, fuck Aaron Ramsdale," or whatever it is. And they're like, "Oh God, what do we do? This guy." I mean, he's got a personality to boot, right?
Yeah,
like that's exactly like you want to see a guy who's like, "Yeah, yell at me. This is why we're out here."
That's awesome.
If you're a fan, do it. So in England, I would say it's him. Globally, man, I mean.
It's hard to stray from the EPL. I mean, it is, but
it's an action-packed league. You get lots of shots on goal, and you look. It's where big game players
where
go
they
to. I
wanna
mean,
go.
you got your normal guy. It's hard to look past Donnarumma after the year he had. You know, both with club and country. I mean,
Sure.
Italy and then winning in a penalty shootout. There you go.
I mean, that's
So,
enough right there.
That's good. So I'd say I'd probably stump for him, especially because he's young. I mean, Donnarumma's still
God.
maybe under 25,
24,
yeah,
25?
something like that. So big future ahead of him. And that's not even the goalkeepers don't hit prime until a little bit later. So the fact that he's already on that level, that's pretty impressive.
Man, that's cool. That is awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been really good, man.
This is fun.
We did.
This is fun. We'll be back for more.
I'm learning, like literally, I'm learning, and that's part of this show too. Is that those of you who are tuning in, you may be soccer heads, football heads, and you guys know everything about everything. But this is also a show for people who are trying to learn a little more about football, and I think I'll save this for 2 weeks from now, but this is something to think about. I think my next Hey Aaron segment is, how would you advise somebody who's just getting into football to pick their favorite team?
Oh,
I think that's a good conversation.
That requires some thought.
Yeah, I think that requires some
my journey as a
thought.
Manchester United fan couldn't happen these days. I'm not sure how you got turned on to Chelsea, but it's probably
is the
even slightly
watering
different.
hole.
But
It's the watering hole.
But I mean, yeah, that's I like that. We'll give that some thought for the next time around.
That's a good one. So, ladies and gentlemen, we at the Evan and Aaron show have a ritual that we do at the end of the show, and I think that we should go ahead and just do that same thing for the red and the blue. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Aaron's final thoughts about. I guess we can make it about this week of soccer. Anything that comes out.
I've got two things that I want to cover. One, it's the Red and Blue podcast, but it's also the Red, White, and Blue podcast. As you can see, we've Indy 11, they wear red, blue, and white. U.S. men's national team, red, blue, and white. U.S. women's national team, red, blue, and white. So there's a lot of bases we're covering there.
Are we also covering the French men's and women's team, red, blue, and white?
In the English, and the Czechs,
and there you go.
The Croatians.
That kind of screwed everything up. I'm sorry.
Well, if everybody wouldn't have borrowed the flag, no problem. Or if everybody thought there were more than just 3 colors in the world.
Thank you, Betsy Ross.
Right?
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, we'll take credit for red, white, and blue being the predominant flags. American exceptionalism at its finest. But I do want to say big congrats to both Daryl DK making a move to West Bromwich Albion. I think it's a very good move for him. And Ricardo Pepe making a move to Augsburg in Germany. It's great. It's great to see that happen. I think he's got a bigger uphill battle than Daryl DK does, sort of establishing himself and sort of, he's not going to get much time to bet in. They need points. They need points right away. I think West Brom's okay in the championship, and I think DK already gets the level we'll be playing at. His loan spell with Burnley. I think Ricardo Pepe.
Oh man,
going to Germany.
It's my guy,
brother. You're from the south. It gets cold in Germany. They will boo you in a language that even when they're saying they love you sounds kind of hateful.
Raina's like, come here, let me tell you something about this league.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, you need to have a conversation with a bunch of those dudes. But that said, there is no better way than to make the crowd love you than to be the goal scorer for a team who needs points.
Oh my God.
If Ricardo Pepe can pop up for late game winners like he did for the United States during the summer, then that's going to be good. Also, huge shouts for Pulisic getting his goal, getting Chelsea back in that game. And honestly, he had not done much at all up to that point. He looked a little out of sorts, a little not involved, and then gets his opportunity, scores a goal, and then second half he's very, very integral to everything positive Chelsea did. The game petered out a little bit, but I think we saw more out of him that we liked. Hopefully he gets through these next few games, and we got Captain America in the squad.
There you go.
My final thought is this. Folks, Phil Jones Played defense for Manchester. Played a game for Manchester. I know, puppy.
We're almost done. I tell you.
Phil Jones played a game for Manchester United for the first time in about a year. He's been out over the last couple of seasons, multiple injuries, knee injury, I think it was a back injury. Just, you know how it is at that age, you're trying to come back and it's compensation kind of stuff. And I thought
he looked good.
I thought he looked good.
Yeah.
I've always liked the guy. He's taken a lot of stick because he's got the goofy face, and he works so hard that when you make a mistake, it's kind of, you want to get down on the guy. But I tell you what, the mental fortitude to not just come back from that injury, but to come back, win the fans over. The fans, to their credit, they cheered him all game long. Some pundits are trying to blame the goal on him. I'm sorry, he headed the ball away.
Yeah,
and Manchester United players did not do a good job of closing the guy.
No.
And on top of that, McTominay still closed him down, and the ball went through his leg. He got wicketed.
Exactly.
It happens. It happens.
It happens.
But I tell you, folks, Phil Jones is a metaphor. No matter how down and out you think you may be, you stick with it. You keep giving your all. You're going to get your opportunity, and you take that opportunity, and you keep climbing back up. So
that's it right there.
that's true for life, folks. So new year, new goals, same old effort. Keep putting yourself out there. Keep doing what we do, and good things will happen for you.
That's it.
Evan, it's been a blast.
Yeah, man.
Folks, we're going to be back in 2 weeks.
Yep.
You can catch us on Facebook. You can catch us probably on YouTube. You can catch us on SoundCloud, Anchor, Spotify, and the Gram. And probably between now and then, I'll find other social media outlets that I didn't even know existed. So we're going to try to get it everywhere. If you don't like looking at our faces, you can just listen to us. If you don't like listening to us, there are so many bad podcasts out there that I'm sure you can find another one. But for right now, we got the best soccer pub chat podcast on the net from Indianapolis. All of the superlatives. Even my dog thinks so.
Yes.
Folks, we out.
Deuces. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much.
We going full Antonio Brown. And with that,
leave AB alone.
You leave Brittany alone.